Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews, a video review channel where I hope to show you enough about a board game so you can figure out if the board game is good for you or your family or your gaming group. Today we're going to look at Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Now this is a 4X game for 1 to 4 players. There's an expansion that brings up to 6 players, and next year it's going to go all the way up to 7 years with another expansion. And hopefully at the rate we're going, we're probably not going to need a larger table for the 10-player version. That's going to take all day to play, but I'm game if they do decide to do it. Now, Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea is a 4X style game, and what a 4X game is, it's either a very fancy way of saying explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate, or it could be related to a politician forgetting to add the E. I don't know, but I can tell you they make for some fun and really enjoyable gameplay. Because the basic idea of a 4X game is you're trying to gain victory by obtaining one of those 4X victory conditions. The X victory condition of exploiting the land, exploring everything out there, exterminating your opponents, and just trying to win the game, or in this case, trying to get the most victory points after one of those 4X victory conditions have been met. In Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea, which I'm just going to call Heroes from here on out because otherwise I know it's going to become a tongue twister. I'm going to mess up the name at least 200, 300, 400 times at the rate I'll be going here. But the idea of the game is every single player plays a fantasy race, whether it's the humans, the dwarves, the mean old nasty orcs, or the elves over there. You pick one of your races and you're trying to conquer the other players and win the game. And again, the game is going to come to an end as soon as somebody gets one of those 4X victory conditions. You add up all the victory points. Whoever has the most victory points is going to be the grand winner of the game. With one little small, tiny little catch though. If one player happens to be really taking over the lead, all the players can potentially gang up on that one player and wipe that one player out. Because in this game, if you happen to be exterminated and removed from the game, you lose your capital, you lose your units. Oh, and you also lose your score because there's no way you can score any points if you don't exist anymore on the map. Blowing up another player's capital city is definitely not an easy task though, because as you play the game, your capital city is going to get much more powerful as the game goes, but don't think you can rest on your laurels and just evacuate your capital city and go out there and exploit the whole landscape, because if you do that, another player will definitely let you know how bad of a decision you have made as they take your capital city out, eradicate you from the game, and potentially win the game. Now, how do you play the game of Heroes? Well, Heroes is played out over rounds. On every single round, each player is going to get 2 action discs, and these discs are going to let you do various actions, such as building more units, upgrading your city, adding out these extra towers out here, which actually are one of the victory conditions to win the game. You need to get out all 3 of your towers to actually bring about the end game victory condition. You can also win the game or end the game by completely exploring all the lands. You can win the game, like I said already, by destroying one of your opponents. You can win the game by getting out all your serfs and all your warriors onto the board. And finally, whoever has the most victory points at the end is going to be the grand winner of the game. Now, the cool thing about the game is there's lots of ways to get victory points. You can kind of stay back and rest on your own little island, your own little continent here, and just work on building up your empire, which is going to give you some victory points. Or you can just go out there and be aggressive and destroy your opponents, because the more aggressive you are, the more victory points you're going to get. Because in an interesting twist, this game does not use dice for combat. It actually uses tactic cards for the combat, and all these tactic cards have various different effects. And to oversimplify things, it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. But it's not quite that simple because you have 7 cards to do this. So it's like rock, paper, scissors, guns, knives, bullets, shaving cream, and maybe water balloons. But I'm going to be above and beyond here so let's go ahead and retract that just for a second. At the start of every single game, every single player starts off with a lowly level 1 city, which has lots of limitations, and they have 2 serfs to go along with that and 1 warrior. But as you play the game, as you gain resources and spend these resources, you can do things such as hiring your grand heroes. You can get ships to go out there and help you fight. You can eventually get airships that allow you to go out there and conquer all the lands, spread your influence, and go out there and do what you want to do to win the game, whether it's the exploration, the exploitation, the expansion, or of course that extermination. Now, the game does play fairly quickly. It plays in probably I'd say about half an hour per player. There's a very nice and very cool solo element to the game, or you can even throw that solo element into a 3, 4, or even 5, or maybe even a 6-player game with the expansion if you want to create a really interesting thing, because it's an artificial intelligence which has its own way of acting to go out there and try to achieve its own objectives and try to win the game. It's kind of neat because you can play versus yourself versus multiple AIs, or you have multiple players versus a single AI, or any single combination, whether you have just the basic game or you get the expansion to have a grand experience of up to 6 players playing this game. And like I said earlier, eventually we'll go up to 7 players with 8 different races in the game. Now this is just a really quick overview of Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea itself. If you actually want to get some more in-depth information about the game, feel free to check out my actual gameplay video where I'm going to play using the AI versus a couple of human players. Of course, I'm going to control those human players, but that does give me a chance to show you how the game actually plays. You can also check out my full review of the game, or you can even check out the tutorial video where I'll show you exactly how to play the game, including how to build up your capital city, how to explore all the lands, how to work on victory, how to cast all these spells that are going to help you do things such as gaining resources, or if you just want to have a heck of a lot of fun, you can transform into a werewolf, rage across the land, and totally obliterate your enemies. Check out those other videos. I hope you enjoyed this video and this video series. As always, thanks for watching.